NASCAR Senior Vice President of Competition Elton Sawyer is attempting to clarify comments he made on SiriusXM NASCAR Channel 90, where he basically was encouraging drivers to cheat on the final restart of the races. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at John Trent Racing. Before we get into what Elton Sawyer had to say during his appearance on NASCAR's Race Hub, let's go back to what happened following the race at Richmond Raceway, where Denny Hamlin very clearly jumps the restart. This is what Elton Sawyer had to say immediately following the race to members of the media. And then this obviously is from Bob Pockrass over on X. This is what Elton Sawyer had to say here.
End of the race said he thought Denny jumped the restart. I'm curious, did you guys see it?
Yeah, we reviewed it. Yeah, we reviewed that. We looked at it. Obviously, the 11 was the control vehicle. It was awful close, but we deemed it to be a good restart.
So he said it was a good restart immediately following the race. However, he made an appearance on SiriusXM NASCAR Channel 90 on April 2nd in the morning. I believe that was Tuesday, I want to say. And he was telling a different story. Let's listen to what he had to say to them.
It's a bang bang call, Mike, and as I had the opportunity to look, Sunday night as well as multiple times yesterday. First and foremost, the 11 is the control vehicle. They have earned the right to be in that position. They've won the battle off pit road. They put themselves in a position to be able to control the restart. And as I looked at it yesterday, again, multiple times, there's no doubt he rolled early. And
so he's now confirming it was not a good restart and that Denny Hamlin rolled early.
Again, it's a bang bang call. It's at the end of the race. We're a live sporting event. We don't have the luxury of a timeout and go to the sideline and review it and make that call. If this happens at last.
I actually disagree with that. I mean, you can definitely wave the caution flag and see if there is a problem while you review it. I don't think that there's anything stopping them from doing that. Obviously, it would mess up the flow of the race for sure, but I definitely feel like that is a possibility if they wanted to do that.
10 or 50 or 300, the call could have been different. So I wouldn't, if I'm a competitor.
And I think that's the most damning part of his interview right there is where he says that if it was earlier on in the race at lap 10, lap 50, or lap 300, the call likely would have been different. It's because it's at the end of the race that they decided not to call it. I think that is absolutely inexcusable, shows a lack of consistency there.
Competitor, I wouldn't be playing that game every week. Sometimes you get the call that goes in your favor.
Obviously, he would go on to say sometimes you don't. But now, last night, he did an appearance on, or I guess maybe this is, or maybe it was yesterday morning. Fox NASCAR has it up at 10:50, around 10 a.m. Yesterday morning. And this is what he had to say, trying to clarify his comments that he made on SiriusXM NASCAR radio. Let's take a listen.
If you look at the last restart there, obviously we're in overtime. The 11 has come off pit road first. He's earned the right to be the control vehicle. He's picked the inside lane. He fires off. We're coming to green. Obviously, next flag is the white, and the following one is going to be the checkered. Once we noticed that, there was some question around the restart, we're looking at all of our available resources, SMT data. We're looking at the replay monitor. And at the time, because you've got to make a split-second decision, it's a bang-bang call at the end of the race. With the evidence and the information we had in front of us, we made the call that we felt like at that time was the correct call. Now, with the opportunity to review that all day yesterday, look at it multiple times, again, I still feel like we made the right call at that time, but with the opportunity for 24 to 36 hours later, he did roll early, and that's what we got.
So let's pause it right there. He's saying that they actually did look at the SMT data. They looked at the multiple camera angles and still determined that it was a good call. He's saying that they made the right call even after reviewing it as well. But now he's admitting, though, that Hamlin did indeed jump early. So I'm wondering, how is it still a right call if he broke the rules? How is that the right call? I'm really just want clarity on this. I think I would have been better if he had just said, hey, we got it wrong. We messed up. And moving forward, though, we will try to fix this. I think that would have been a much better response. I feel like he's just digging a grave here and opening up a whole can of worms as to what is actually going on in the NASCAR officiating booth here. But let's keep going.
When you said that he rolled early, Elton, and you know, appearance is everything, right? As he times that and he gets it right, are we talking a mile an hour too quick? Are we talking 5 miles an hour too quick at the stripe? What is at the point where you're saying right now that he rolled early? What is that number? Is there a number we're looking for there to put that in reference?
No, it's not really a number, Regan. It's more if you look at the line where the restart zone starts. And then you go back and look at the video, he definitely fires before the line, which is the rule. You have to go within the zone. And he definitely fired before the zone. I don't know, it looks like maybe a half a car length or so. And again, but at the end of the race, making a split-second decision, we have to get that call right. And with the information and data we had at that time, and I still stand by the call that we made at the track. When you're gonna take a race from someone, you better have this 100%, or at least feel like you're 100% accurate and confident in the call. Now, I want to be
okay. He is now admitting that Denny Hamlin did indeed break the rules, but he's still saying they made the right call. No, you didn't. That does not make sense. You cannot say that Denny Hamlin broke the rules and that you still made the right call. You made the wrong call because Denny Hamlin broke the rules. That is the answer to this. I really don't understand why he's trying to defend himself and the other NASCAR officials that got this wrong. I think he would just be better off, again, admitting that he got it wrong. Because he is saying that. He's saying they got it wrong, but then he's saying they made the right call. I also find it hard to believe that they had all of this data in front of them that he says they had and they couldn't see it, because I did a video immediately after the race, and I could see it just on what Fox showed on their replay. And I wasn't even looking at in-car camera footage, and I didn't even have that that top, I don't know if that was from a blimp or a helicopter or wherever, a drone, whatever it was, the top-down aerial view. I just had that kind of front view, and you could tell that Hamlin jumped early before he got to the line. And I saw that just from the Fox booth when they showed it. So there's a lot more questions here. Like I said, he's opening up a can of worms by trying to justify their decision rather than saying, we got this wrong. We're going to enforce our rules moving forward. And we made a mistake. And I think that would have been a much more acceptable answer because it's more honest. Instead, I feel like there's a lot more stuff happening here that maybe they're trying to hide. But let's continue on. Still got a little bit more here.
Be clear, if we're at lap 50 and we officiate the races from lap 1 to lap 400 plus, if we end up in those situations in overtime, we're going to officiate the race the same way. If this happens at lap 40 or 50 or 300, when we have the opportunity with more time to review it, look at it, and be 100% accurate and confident that we're making the right call, then we make the call. The sense of urgency at the end of the race, obviously to get the winner correct, but also get him to victory lane and things of that nature. The sense of urgency is higher at the end of the race. It doesn't mean that we don't make that call, but we better be 100% confident when we make it.
I actually think there is more time at the end of the race to make that call. We saw this at Atlanta when they were looking at the photo finish between Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Busch. You have the cars kind of pull off there and they kind of sit and see who is the call. I think they could have done that here. And if the call is Denny Hamlin jumped, I honestly feel like you can re-rack the field and do whatever penalty is required based on the rule of Hamlin jumping. Do the penalty. I don't know what the official NASCAR rules are on this. I'll admit that. But I know that usually in you watch this in the dirt late models, you lose a position on the inside. So Logano would have been on the inside. I don't know if that's really fair to Martin Truex Jr. So maybe you just have them go, you do whatever you do to Hamlin, and then you maybe have them go around with Truex in the front, and then you do the choose cone again, and then you just restart it with those 2 laps to go. I don't think that is very difficult to do. All the cars are still there. You can probably radio in and say, hey, we are reviewing the final restart. Drivers, stay in your cars. Please do not exit your cars. We're making a decision. I really don't think that is very difficult to do. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I do feel like it's easier probably to make that call at the end of the race rather than maybe say at lap 50 and you stay green and you're green for like the next 40 laps and you realize that there's some kind of penalty that you have to do for that restart. Maybe it's a drive-through penalty for the person who did indeed like jump the restart or whatever the penalty happens to be. They can enforce that there. But because you're in the middle of the race, right? It is a little bit different, right? So I think there are ways to be able to still have consistency in enforcing the rule. Maybe the penalties are a little bit different based on what you're dealing with during the race, because maybe like you have a restart at lap 50 and there's a wreck immediately, right? So maybe then you just send that person who jumped the restart to the tail end of the field. But if you stay green for 50 laps or an entire run or something, you give them a drive-through penalty through pit road. And so obviously you're still enforcing that same rule. They've broken that rule, but there's different penalties depending on what's happening during the race. And I think that is something that NASCAR can do and they should do. But let's continue.
Elton, as a competitor, I feel really good about the decision that was made for a no call in that scenario. But have you ever thought about maybe, we had pit road speeds that were basically hand timed and a little subjective until everybody complained about it. Drivers did. We went to technology, putting timing loops. We have the technology to be able to officiate that, right? We could put timing loops in the restart zone and use the sensors on the car. Have you guys ever thought about that as an option to officiate this?
I think, Andy, our sport's been around for 75 plus years. We're learning every weekend. So I think you make a great point there. That's something for us to look at. No different than, we started the race the other night, as you guys know, on wet tires. We have never in the history of our sport done that on a point-paying NASCAR Cup Series event. So of all the things that went on late in the race, I don't want us to lose sight of the positive that came out of the wet weather tires and the phenomenal racing that we were having. But we will, as we did today and we did yesterday, we download with our folks here at the R&D Center the things we did well, the things we didn't do so well, what are we going to do to get better. And you make a really good point there with the timing lines and how we could potentially make that better going forward.
So that is what Elton Sawyer had to say. Obviously, I think I've shared what my thoughts are on this. I don't think he did a really good job explaining or clarifying his previous comments. I'm not really sure that I think there's still a massive question on consistency. I definitely feel like if there is a NASCAR overtime or a late race caution at Martinsville this upcoming weekend, and they do indeed enforce this rule, I think the person who gets penalized for it is going to be rightfully upset and have a lot of ammunition against NASCAR. I think they've set a precedent here. They are going to have to continue to allow, I think, drivers to maybe jump that restart. Even Andy Petrie there was saying that he appreciated them allowing Denny Hamlin to jump the start and not make that call, even though Sawyer admitted that he did indeed break the rule. So I think that's really telling there too. But we'll see what happens. I think that that's probably the biggest storyline coming out of this now is what does NASCAR do moving forward? Will they actually enforce drivers jumping the restart? And will they do it this weekend at Martinsville, or will it be at a race later on during this season? And how will that play out? But let me know what you guys make of what Elton Sawyer had to say here, trying to clarify his previous comments made on Sirius XM NASCAR radio. Let me know in the comments below.